Tonight on Joynews Prime, close to 500 civil society organizations launch campaign calling on President Akufo-Addo to recall Auditor General from accumulated leave.
On leave for 167 days. What kind of resting is he going to rest? Why is he sick? He's going to sleep for 167 days.
But will this really affect President Akufo-Addo's second term? We'll analyze this soon. Also, Ghana's coronavirus cases fell as the Ghana Health Service says the country is recording an average of 400 cases in a day.
So this tells you that we are doing an average now of about 400 cases a day, and that is something that we need to really take caution.
While some residents of Old Fadama are asking government to do mass testing because social distancing is almost impossible in the slum.
Do the test here. And as we don't, how will you know that these people have, these people don't have? I even believe that we had some here, but because we didn't take it serious, we didn't think that the thing is here.
And if you rely on public transport for your daily commute, then be prepared to pay 15% more for your fares beginning July 11.
Agreed by parties that with the effect of Saturday, 11th of this month, we have increased the transport fares by 15%.
And in business,
as Ghana's COVID-19 case count crosses 20,000, Bank of Ghana pushes for more digital transactions to reduce human interaction.
With this pandemic, we are encouraging all banks and all merchants to collaborate to ensure that they provide contactless cards that will help to contain the spread of the virus.
On your election headquarters, the Minister of Parliamentary Affairs, Oseche Mensah-Bonsu, says Professor Nana Opoku-Agyeman lacks what it takes to complement Mohammed's candidature for the 2020 elections.
A woman of poise and balance. She speaks good English, yes, but is it good enough to satisfy the ticket?
Minority spokesperson on gender and children, Ladi Anyenene Ayamba, condemns what she describes as unwarranted attacks on Professor Nana Opoku-Agyeman. I am Aisha Ibrahim, bringing you Joynews Prime from our studios in Kokomlemle on digital address GA0992539. Also on your digital terrestrial TV because we are free to air. We are on Go TV channel 144 and DSTV channel 421. Please stay tuned. Now, very first story, close to 500 civil society organizations have launched a campaign urging the president to recall Auditor General Daniel Domelevu from accumulated leave. This, the group says, President Akufo-Addo could be affected in the run-up to the 2020 elections if he doesn't rescind his go-on-accumulated leave decision. The CSOs championing the anti-corruption fight in Ghana at a press briefing described the president's action as regrettable and unconstitutional. Joynews' Henry Kwesi-Bedu sat through the briefing and has more.
Mr. President, we are appealing to you. We have launched the campaign. We want you to bring back Daniel Domelevu.
Hashtag bring back Domelevu, beginning today.
Chants from members of civil society organizations calling on the president to recall Auditor General Daniel Domelevu from accumulated leave. Mr. Domelevu received a letter on June 29, 2020 from the presidency directing him to take his accumulated leave from July 1, 2020. The Auditor General in a reply asked the president to reconsider his directive, but in a swift response, the office of the president extended his leave period to 167 days from the previous 123 days. 435 civil society organizations members, including the Ghana Integrity Initiative, the CDD, Ghana, Imani, Ghana, Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition, Institute for Democratic Governance, IDEG, among many others, have described the president's action as regrettable and unconstitutional. The CSOs also hinted they will seek redress at the Supreme Court. Dr. Kodo Pumpuni Asante spoke on behalf of the group.
As a result of the gravity of the constitutional issues raised by this question, we have to, at some point, apply to the Supreme Court for interpretation of the president's powers in respect of independent governance institutions. This is a very, very, very important issue. The arguments that are being put forward about the president's powers have serious implications for this democratic system that we want to operate in, and the checks and balances and public accountability we are trying to promote. We have to get clarification on these matters from the Supreme Court.
The executive director of the Ghana Integrity Initiative, Linda Ofori-Kwafo, explained the president's action amount to interference in the affairs of independent institutions and sets a bad precedent.
We think the arguments that have been made are not so strong enough to allow such a head of audit service in Ghana, who is doing so well, to go on leave for 167 days. What kind of resting is he going to rest? Why is he sick? He's going to sleep for 167 days. That is too much. I think that is too much. And as Mr. Asante rightly said, I don't know of any private sector institution that will ask the CEO to go on leave for that long. And if you think that we are applying any law fairly, then let us do a small audit and see how many heads of state institutions in this country, independent state institutions, do not have accumulated leave, which we have said is non-existent. Actually, that debate is already flawed. Once you forfeit, it's forfeited. So we move on. If you wanted him to take his leave, the appointing authority that is today directing him to go on leave also saw to it whilst he was still in office. Why didn't you then? Please, I think this is more than we can take. It's a president who has shown commitment. We cannot take that from him. He made some giant decisions and actually campaigned on the back of anti-corruption and won the elections. We saw him creating the Office of Special Prosecutor and doing other things that were being applauded by the international community and even the donor community here in this country. I'm saying today they are all not very happy with us as a country. And we are going into an election again. So why would anybody want to advise the president to take some decisions that I think it's not going to be go well with most people? Already most people are not very happy.
Executive Director of the Institute for Democratic Governance, Dr. Emmanuel Akwete, was also unhappy with government's action, noting that the current happenings do not send the right signals to the governance community within and outside the country.
There is some confusion going on. Those of us with friends abroad and so on who are monitoring are saying, what has happened? What does this mean? What explains this? These are the two leaders we've seen standing in support of the fight against corruption. So let us look at that. And our appeal to the president, as in the statement, is that people are a bit confused and demoralized.
The CSOs have also called on all well-meaning Ghanaians to help them in a social media campaign to bring back the Auditor General.
Fellow Ghanaians, we believe our president listens, and when he reassesses the case we have made, he will reconsider. In this regard, we are calling on all well-meaning Ghanaians to join us in our campaign to bring back Domlovo. Hashtag bring back Domlovo, beginning today. Second.
Well, the civil society organizations say it won't relent until hashtag bring back Domlevo is achieved. Henry Kwesi Bedu's report for Joynews.
Meanwhile, the Information Minister, Kojo Ponkroma, has asked civil society organizations to seek legal redress.
We would encourage them to move from conjecture and take the matters on their face as they are. If specifically the executive is out of step, I think that It is not about us, like we saw in the recent cases. It's not about me and Linda having a debate about it. If the executive is wrong, get the executive corrected with appropriate legal matters. And like Dr. Kojo mentions, he seeks to do that. I think that is the appropriate way to express it, beyond conjecture, because conjecture really never solves a problem. If the executive is not wrong, and what the executive holds as a view, which is a view that has been tested in court, by the way, is the appropriate view, the courts will have an opportunity to speak to it. But I'm not sure we want to encourage this whole thing of conjecture and this whole thing of now banding everything, that once you say that the policeman has not followed the rules of evidence and that the particular evidence he seeks to present is poisoned because it's the fruit of a poison tree, then it means that you are bastardizing the entire law enforcement mechanism. I'm not sure that is a position that we want to start taking.
Joining me via Zoom for more on this is an associate professor of political science at the University of Ghana, Professor Ransford Jampo. Thanks for your time, Prof. The CSOs want the president to rescind his decision on the Auditor General to take his 167 accumulated leave, a decision they say will affect his fortunes in the December polls. What's your own assessment of the situation?
Hello, good evening. I think the civil society organizations have spoken, and they've spoken very well. It is not just one body making this call, but it's the coming together of various groups within the body politic that constitutes civil society and making such a call. I believe it's a call in the right direction, and I would also join them appealing to President Nana Akufo-Addo to rethink and reconsider his decision, because I've been looking at the legal issues. I've heard the Minister for Information asking the civil society organization leaders to look at the laws and all that. I believe some of them are lawyers. And in my view, I think the president was almost usurping the powers of the Audit Service and also the Public Service Commission in doing some of these things. And I don't think this advances his cause to fight against corruption. And so I believe this is a man who is reputed to be one of the best constitutional lawyers in Ghana. And so it is important that he reassesses the situation and look at the various legal provisions surrounding the independence of the Auditor General, and for the purposes of taking a second look at his position. Because sometimes you may have a lot of hawks around the presidency who may offer certain advice. And the president is a very busy man, always doing so many things. And so sometimes he will just defer to the advice and to be implemented. But I think for this particular situation, given his interest in fighting corruption, I believe he must take a second look at the decision. And if possible, let's not set a certain precedent that would come back to haunt us all as a nation.
Now, the CSOs describe the president's action as amounting to interference in the affairs of independent institutions and sets a bad precedent. I mean, by joining them to call on the president to bring back Mr. Domelevo, do you share same view with them? Or how would you, from the political science point of view, describe the president's action?
Well, you see, the man is clothed with some independence to allow him do his work. And in my view, issues about he proceeding on leave and giving those directives are supposed to be emanating from maybe his direct superiors. The Audit Service Board is there, the Public Service and Public Service Commission is also there. And they are supposed to be doing some of these things. But you see, if you look at the posturing of the Auditor General, the way and manner he's gone about his duties, the history of our Fourth Republic show that Auditor Generals are always quiet. They keep quiet and they do their work silently behind the scenes. But this is an Auditor General who has been a bit talkative. and has also been exposing certain things in the public domain. And there is a perception that doing this is not helping. Some people in government do not like what he's doing. And so if such a decision that ideally could have been taken by the Audit Service Board or the Public Service Commission, the president descends into their realm to take that decision and to give those marching orders. It creates an impression that, well, maybe it is because he is getting on your nerves, and that's why some of these drastic directives are being given to him. And so if you do that, then it means you are just also being a bit intolerant of people who have been clothed with independence to do their work. And in that regard, if such a directive is given, then it creates, I'm tempted to agree with the civil society organizations that it may amount to some of the work of the independent body.
But Professor Jampo, this is a man that the board says it kept reminding to take his accumulated leaves, but he refused to take. Which other way would you have had the president go about it?
Well, if you look at their own rules, if you refuse to take your leave, you forfeit it. Until there is a negotiated agreement that allows you to stay. If you refuse to take a leave, you forfeit it. So why don't we say, well, you forfeited it, go ahead and do your work, particularly given the kinds of things that he's doing for Mother Ghana. And so I think sometimes we can evolve our own conventions and customs in addition to laws to help us promote accountability and to help us advance the cause of countervailing authority or mechanisms that are expected to check the exercise of powers and to fight against corruption. We can be legalistic about it, but sometimes if you follow the law and also you do not look at conventions or perceptions or certain appearances of something untoward being done, or the perception that, well, you have an agenda just to silence a man. If you don't take all those perceptions into consideration, then it may not make people see you as a serious person or as a serious government in trying to fight corruption. And so I think I want to agree with the civil society leaders that the president, I don't think it's too late at all. The president may have to reconsider or rethink the decision to let him go home for over 160 days. I think it's too much.
I'm grateful for your time. Professor Ransford Jampo is an associate professor of political science at the University of Ghana. Remember the hashtag Bring Back Domelevo is trending on Twitter. Let's get on Twitter and get some of the messages on Twitter, and some of the messages read: don't interfere with the mandate of the Auditor General, stop corruption by supporting strong institutions, and don't interfere with the work of the anti-corruption campaign institutions. Precious Ankoma says the campaign has begun. We'll do our bit in the fight against corruption. And this one also says, what? All hands on deck. We need more Domelevos to fight corruption. Pen Plus Bites says, we are supporting the Auditor General because we haven't witnessed his kind in the long time. Lindo Furi Kwafo at Ghana Integrity Initiative, Bring Back Domelevo. And it's she's one of the CSOs that are calling on the president to rescind his decision. It's on Twitter. It's not actually trending, but it's gaining some momentum up there. Now, Ghana's COVID-19 total case count has risen to 21,968 after 891 new infections detected in 73 districts. Clinical recoveries are up to 17,156, with the death count standing at 129. The death rate from the virus in Ghana now stands at 0.58%. There are 4,683 active cases, of which 22 are severe cases. 6 of the severe cases are in a critical condition and 5 are on ventilators. For the bulk of the new cases, 571 were recorded in 24 districts in the Greater Accra region, 93 cases from 18 districts in the Ashanti region, and 86 from 5 districts in the Western region. The Ghana Health Service says the nation is recording an average of 400 cases a day. This is a source of concern, as the service says it points to non-adherence to the safety protocols. Now, the ministry announced today the country has recorded 891 new cases after hitting nearly 1,000 on Monday. Director General of the Health Service, Dr. Patrick Komabuaje, has been briefing pressmen on the latest figures.
Total, as of today, we have recorded a total of 21,968 positive cases. That is from the first time we recorded a case in March 2020. The cases have been obtained through routine surveillance and enhanced contact tracing. Cumulatively, we have had 8,880 positives from the routine surveillance and 13,088 from the enhanced contact tracing. We have so far conducted 316,798 tests, individual tests, for the majority of times were taken from enhanced contact tracing. We have also at the same time recorded a recovery rate or clinical recovery and discharges of 17,156. Our active cases currently stands at 4,683. These numbers are being managed in our treatment sites, isolation centers, and for those who meet criteria, under home management, which still remains the largest number of cases. Currently, we have 22 severe cases in our treatment centers. 6 are critical and 5 are on ventilators. The new cases we are reporting today, which is not, for example, for like yesterday and today, it's 891 cases from 73 districts.
Let's take a look at summaries of 7 COVID-19 related deaths as released by the Ghana Health Service. And 123 deaths, female, and age, they are from age 80, and comorbidity, they have diabetes, hypertension, and it's from the Ashanti region. That number 124, male, 62, and also has hypertension, diabetes from the Central region. 125, that number, female, 80, and none in the Ashanti region. That number 126, female, 556, and has diabetes and from the Central region. Death number 127, male, 39, hypertension, and from the Ashanti region. Death number 128 is female, 63 years, and right breast cancer, and from the Ashanti region. And death number 129 is male, 75, has diabetes, and from the Ashanti region. Information Minister Kojo Nkrumah also informed journalists about the COVID status of the senior minister.
A few remarks just to share with you on the President and related matters. The President continues with his self-isolation while conducting affairs of state from the presidential villa of the Jubilee House. Today, I think, will be day 3. The President has been conducting state business via telephone and other technology, and has been in particular following up on the COVID response program, as well as a broader 2020 work plan of his administration. We are thankful to all for the best wishes to him. In a separate development that has come to us, Senior Minister Yaosafo Mafo has been informed that his sample given for test has returned positive. He will therefore, as of today, commence treatment for COVID-19 from home. And in consonance with the transparency that we're bringing to this, he has instructed that we inform the general public of this accordingly. Our best wishes remain with him and all who are battling the virus, and we continue to encourage strict compliance to the preventive etiquette, particularly social distancing and the wearing of masks. These are proven ways to cut the rate of spread, and we admonish all to observe them.
And it's emerging that more COVID-19 cases have been confirmed in some senior high schools in the country. 6 students of the Accra Girls Senior High School have reportedly tested positive for the COVID-19 virus. Briefing journalists in Accra today, Deputy Education Minister Dr. Joynews said 3 students at the Konongo Senior High School have also tested positive for the virus.
We had other concerns that have come up. The moment it happens, our first point of contact, the headmaster, district director, regional directors of education, that then brings us the information to really ensure that we know what we are dealing with. We know that there was a report from Konongo Wesley Senior High School, and that is being handled by the regional director of health in Ashanti region, where some students were, about 3 students were confined.
Deputy Education Minister Dr. Joynews says surveillance is ongoing at the Accra Girls Senior High School to ensure students are safe.
Accra Girls High School, a very distinguished school in Accra, 7 young women. On June 29th, a case was reported to the health bay, a student who was unwell. Of course, they quickly identified that it might be a symptom of COVID-19. Student was immediately isolated. Subsequently, other students were having similar symptoms, and they were all quickly quarantined. To really use the medical terminology, I hear there's a difference between quarantine and self-isolation and isolation. So the students were quarantined prior to the testing. And as I speak with you, the test results came in, and we had 6 students who tested, unfortunately, positive for COVID-19. They were immediately isolated and taken care of, parents informed to ensure that we can bring down the anxiety. I can understand a parent getting a call from school saying that your child is not well and it's COVID-19. The frustration will be to the highest level possible. And I can understand why other parents will also run to the school and say, can I take my child away? But taking your child away at this point is not a very good option. The school has isolated 648 contacts. And it's not just 6 students. There was an instructor and the wife who has also been isolated. So you know you have 8 students from the school community. At this point, the 648 contacts have been identified. A number of them have been tested. The Ghana Health Service took a team, worked with a team of 200.
In this bulletin on your election headquarters, Minister for Parliamentary Affairs, Osei Chairman Sabonsu, says Professor Nano Pokuagyemang lacks what it takes to complete Mohammed's candidature for the 2020 elections.
A woman of poise and balance. She speaks good English, yes, but is it good enough to satisfy the ticket?
There is more when we return from this break. Time now for business, and Sandra Peno is here with more. Hi, Sandra.
Aisha, the world of COVID, mine.
Interesting. What's up for business?
You're looking good anyway. A lot of offices are closing.
Thanks to COVID.
I know, right? A lot of offices are closing their virtual spaces. No, not virtual, their physical spaces due to cases being recorded
and all that.
Or,
technology.
Exactly. So the BOG is having some sort of advice for organizations and also businesses. We'll be hearing that in business.
Take it away, Sandra.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sandra Isinamap, and let's do business. As Ghana's COVID-19 cases increase, the Bank of Ghana is pushing for more digital transactions to reduce human interactions. Speaking to Joy Business after launching a Ghana Link card payment system for GOIL, head of digital payments at the Bank of Ghana, Seto Amediku, is calling for collaboration with the private sector to encourage more digital payments.
According to the Bank of Ghana, transacting business digitally will ensure that there is less dependence on physical cash, which has the potential of transmitting the virus. The bank is confident that the collaboration between the Ghana Interbank Payments and Settlement Systems and GOIL will boost the use of digital services by fewer consumers. Head of Digital Payments, Dr. Seto Amediku, is urging more businesses to roll out online channels for payments in order to support the government's agenda of digitization and thereby controlling the spread of the virus.
You know, with this pandemic, we are encouraging all banks and all merchants to collaborate to ensure that they provide contactless cards or GH-Link cards to their customers, so that instead of handling cash, they can use card for their transaction. That will help to contain the spread of the virus. So we actually congratulated GOIL for being the first OMC to be able to have this partnership to ensure that people need not go to a bank to withdraw their money to come and purchase oil, because your card is linked to your bank account. So when you come, you do it yourself, you put your card inside, you put your password, seamlessly you pay. So you see that the pressure on the currency in terms of even making it dirty will reduce.
Meanwhile, head of IT and planning at GOIL, Anthony Chumesi, is optimistic that the partnership will help the company reach out to many of its customers.
By this partnership, we want to reach out to all banking sector customers. Not necessarily the non-banking, but the banking sector customers, in the sense that if you have a card which is issued by any bank, where you have the GH-Link card, the GH-Link mark on it, trademark on it, it means you can buy fuel at our station effortlessly without any problem. So when you do that, the money is deducted directly from your account at the bank. So that is it. So just like the MasterCard and Visa card, the GH-Link card is the one that we chosen, and we chose it because of flexibility.
The partnership will ensure that customers with a GH-Link card are able to purchase fuel with their cards.
In a related development, Chief Executive of the Ghana Interbank Payment and Settlement System, Archie Hesse, has disclosed his outfit is in the process of getting more businesses to sign onto the various digital payment systems introduced by government. He believes that the partnership with GOIL will encourage more oil marketing companies introduce electronic means of purchasing petroleum products.
Important to note that since we started driving the domestic payments, we've been engaging all corporates. GOIL has been one of the companies that have shown a lot of interest because they have actually seen the benefits in ensuring that all their various service stations accept the domestic card scheme. As I indicated, we are not going to stop here with the point of sale, just the GH-Link, but we are going to continue working with GOIL to ensure that the universal QR code is also deployed at all the 400 plus GOIL stations. As a minimum, as the Honorable Chairman indicated, it shows once we've done it with GOIL, it presupposes that all the various OMCs can emulate, they can copy what GOIL has done. But like I indicated, we are open to ensure that we can work with all retailers, all wholesalers, and indeed any corporates that wants to ensure that they are equipped to accept all the various local payment systems that have been deployed.
So we will be having a discussion on whether Ghana's digitization agenda is yielding any result during this pandemic, and that will be in the second part of business. Meanwhile, shareholders of Enterprise Group Limited are to enjoy a 20% increase in the dividends paid for 2018. The board has proposed a final dividend for 54 pesos per share for 2019. Presenting the group's 2019 annual report and financial statement, Chairman Trevor Trebner cited the sterling financial performance of the group as reason for the action, as net income hit 714 million cedis, 17% increase from what was recorded in 2018. More in the following reports.
Chairman of the Enterprise Group Limited, Trevor Trevgan, addressed shareholders on a virtual platform, stating that amid the coronavirus pandemic, prospects for the investment firm are still bright.
Enterprise Group Limited entered this time of uncertainty in a strong position, having delivered another good operational and financial result for the period ending 31st December 2019. The group reported a net income of 714 million Ghana cedis, representing a 17.6% growth over 2018, with underlying net profit after tax of 117.2 million Ghana cedis, compared to 87.9 million Ghana cedis recorded in 2018.
Meanwhile, Enterprise Group Limited experienced a sharp decline in its total market capitalization as it performed very bad on the equity market, dropping from 61 billion in 2018 to 56 billion cedis in 2019. This decline has been attributed to the two-year underperformance of the Ghana Stock Exchange Composite Index. Group Chief Executive Officer of Enterprise Group Limited, Kelly Gajekpo, tells Joy Business his outfit will focus more on its profitability.
The reflection of those profits in our share price has always lagged historically. So for us as operators, we really don't worry too much about the stock market price, because we understand over the period that there has always been a lag.
The Enterprise Group is the holding company of 5 subsidiary companies. The 2020 AGM was held virtually due to the restrictions imposed by COVID-19.
That will be all for business for now, but when I come back, transport fares to go up by 15%. We'll be talking about that after 8 p.m. Thanks so much for watching.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the sports segments with me, Ovreku Ampofo. We start off from our first story, where the Ghana League Clubs Association, that's GALCA, has written to the Ghana Football Association to demand 5% of international transfers due to them in the last 3 years. Now, in a letter to the football governing body, GALCA said that the FA has not given them their percentage from international transfers and wants the FA to reconcile their books and make available the money within the shortest possible time.
Excerpts of the letter cited by Joy Sports reminded the football governing body in the country that the regulations governing football in Ghana indicated that 10% of all training and transfer fees in respect of external transfers shall be paid into a football development fund as follows. 5% shall be paid to the GFA and 5% shall be paid to the Ghana League Clubs Association, GALCA. Where player involved is a juvenile, GALCA's 5% share shall be paid to the National Juvenile Committee. The Ghana FA announced that it had transferred over 500 footballers to foreign leagues in its latest publication made by the president of the association. In FIFA's report of 2019, Ghana has transferred 229 players to foreign leagues. GALCA is demanding that the Ghana Football Association gives them the percentage due the welfare body of clubs in the country. GALCA is entitled to 5% of the 10% transfer shares charged by GFA in cases of international transfer of players. GALCA said the GFA has failed to make accounts of the funds predating the Kwesi Nyantakyi era and believe it is time for the Ghana FA to account and make available the shares of the clubs.
And it's time for Showbiz. Becky is here with the very latest from the world of Showbiz. Hi, Becky.
Hello to you, Aisha.
Becky, where's your face shield? I bought you one.
That was social.
And
you didn't get me the nice one. You got me the one that has the blue thing, and you know how I love fashion.
You're already beautiful. You're already beautiful.
Aisha, have you seen The Perfect Picture 10 years later?
No, please tell me about it.
So it's now on Netflix. Everybody's watching it, and we spoke to Ajetianan, and he's very much excited about how the movie got onto Netflix, and he is advising everyone out there to go watch it. And also, Aisha, he is also advising all the movie producers to create quality movies so that our movies can make it on Netflix.
I've got to watch this.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
So you know that 10 years when they shot the movie The Perfect Picture, remember Kwabna Kwabna, he did the soundtrack for the movie 10 years on. Today we're also celebrating Kwabna Kwabna right here for his contribution to the entertainment industry.
Thanks so much for bringing us Showbiz, and that'll be it for all those of you watching on Joy Prime. The news continues on Joy News. Some residents of Old Fadama are asking government to do mass testing for the coronavirus in the slum. Ghana's largest shanty town, home to over 100,000 people, have so far recorded only 2 cases. Some residents fear the numbers may be a result of lack of testing. Joynews' Justice Beidou has been to the slum to find out how people in the area are coping with social distancing protocols in the area, where the concept is almost impossible.
Ghana's COVID-19 case count is surging by the day. But it seems that news is yet to reach people here, Old Fadama. Nearly all prevention protocols are absent here. No social distancing, no face masks.
Next time, we piano the P.
Where's your nose mask?
I said I kept it in there.
But it's supposed to be on your nose.
No, I remove it. I'm going to pray. Mommy said me nose mask.
Now those masks, you know, if you are now, which time?
Let me real blue.
It was in this building behind me that the very first case of coronavirus was reported here in Old Fadama, and that was as far back as April this year. Since then, only one more case has been reported in this community of over 100,000 people. For some here, it may just be a case of luck. They feel this community has been spared the venom of this pandemic. But for others, it is just a case of living in the land of unknown, because they are not testing anybody here yet. They may just not know how many have the virus and how many don't. Imoru Abdul Karim has lived in Old Fadama since 2007 and says he's never been terrified as he is today.
We don't do the test here. And as we don't, how will you know that these people have, these people don't have? Because we have a lot of people in our sisters, a lot of our sisters who they work at Makwala there. So they work with a lot of people who even travel to outside Ghana and come back to Ghana. But because of this thing, they don't believe that there's sickness in Ghana here. They said they will not do the testing. So we can't even just find that the thing is in Agwese here or it's not there.
He fears the numbers in Old Fadama may well be more than is officially known. For him, until this happens, it's hard to tell who and who have the virus.
The Kaya people, a lot of people live in one particular room. Because mostly when you get a room like this, you can see 15, 20, 25, even more than that. Some even live up to 30 people in one particular room. So there is no distance, there's no distance, everything is just close here. So my fear was that as they said we should have social distance and a lot of so on, we don't have it here, and we don't have rooms here.
Many of the people in Old Fadama are settlers who move around quite frequently.
And before COVID-19 struck, everyone feared they could be one of the country's communities that would be hit the hardest. Over 4 months after the country's first case was recorded, it seems this shanty town may well have been saved from the storm. Only time would tell. Justice Beidou, Joynews, Old Fadama.
All 58 persons confirmed as COVID-19 are positive in the Upper West region have been treated and discharged. The Upper West Regional Director of Health Services, Dr. Damien, said so far the region has no active coronavirus cases. Dr. Damien was addressing members of the reconstituted Upper West Regional Coordinating Council in Wa.
The Upper West region recorded its index case of COVID-19, a disease caused by coronavirus, in March after a 42-year-old Ghanaian returned to the region from a surgeon in Egypt and some European countries. Since then, the region has recorded 57 other cases, some of whom were kept on self-isolation and others treated at the various holding centers in the region. Acting Upper West Regional Director of Health Services, Dr. Damien Pongyeri, disclosed, though the region recorded 58 positive cases of COVID-19, all of them have not been treated and discharged.
District breakdown of confirmed cases. You can see that Wa Municipal has recorded the largest number of cases so far, followed by Sisala West, and then the Langusier, and then Tumu, and the rest. Let me say, as of today, this morning, none of the cases is on treatment. They have all been discharged because they have met the criteria for discharge, and so they have been discharged, and no case is active as I speak today.
He cautioned that it is not time to jubilate yet, as they are still waiting for the test results of over 1,000 samples sent for testing.
We sent over 4,000 samples to the Public Health Reference Laboratory. I don't have the exact figures, but we received around 2,000 plus. We still have about 1,000 plus awaiting the results. So it is when those results come that at least we can tentatively say all the tests that we've conducted and the screening that we have done, they are negative. Until that is done, we're still holding on for those results to come.
Dr. Damien then opened up on the challenges they face in the fight against the deadly disease.
If we identify contacts, especially for those who cannot self-isolate or cannot quarantine at home, we have designated places that we're supposed to take them to. But when they get there, they have to be fed, everything provided for them. Whose responsibility is it? We have no money to do that. And because of that, there are limitations as to how long we can keep people in quarantine, especially when the results are not coming early enough for us to make a decision.
Upper West Regional Minister Dr. Hafiz bin Sali, on his part, commended all those who supported the region by donating in various forms of personal protective equipment and cash to support the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic.
We are not safe from the coronavirus pandemic yet, and so we are all expected to continue to observe the safety protocols as announced by His Excellency the President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. It is now mandatory for all of us at all public places to wear nose masks, as we have all done. Let us make it part of our daily routine to wear the mask and wash our hands under running water with soap regularly as the surest way of containing the spread of the virus.
Reporting for Joynews, Rafiq Salam. Wow.
I'm back here in Accra. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. But if you rely on public transport on a daily basis, then be prepared to pay 15% more than your original fare. Deputy Minister of Transport, Nikwate Titus Glover, who announced the increase in transport fares, said the new fare will take effect by July 11, 2020. He says the decision was taken due to COVID-19 impact on their business.
Transport unions made an application to the ministry that because of the COVID-19, government has asked them not to load full capacity. So they are losing a lot of money because of the running costs of the operations. So they came with two applications. One, government should allow them to run full seating capacity, or we should allow them to increase the transport fares. That was yesterday, and this morning, or not this afternoon, we held a meeting, and we've all agreed by parties that with the effect of Saturday, 11th of this month, we have increased the transport fares by 15%. And in going forward, they should continue to hold the safety COVID-19 protocols, i.e. the washing of hands, sanitizing the hands, putting the no entry marks on their faces by passengers, mates, and the drivers on their vehicles, so that everybody will observe the COVID-19 protocols at the transport terminals. They should also paste the new fares at their offices for the public to know the real fares at their stations.
Meanwhile, some passengers say increase in public transport fares will impact their pockets negatively. They say coronavirus pandemic has already caused a huge toll on family finances. Chairman for the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, are you satisfied with the increase in lorry fares?
Oh, yes. We know that we sat down with the ministry. The community, this will make the petition will make them the percentage we are demanding. We didn't get it, but what they give us because of we are not in a normal time.
I'm afraid we are having some feedback there. Let's drop the line and call the number again so we can have a clearer feed for viewers. The Minister of Parliamentary Affairs, Osei Mensah Bonsu, says the newly nominated NDC running mate, Professor Nana Opoku-Agyeman, lacks what it takes to complement Mahama's candidature for the 2020 elections. The majority leader said Professor Opoku-Agyeman is poised, very calm, and speaks good English, but questioned whether those attributes are enough for the NDC's running mate's ticket. Osei Mensah Bonsu said he expected Mr. John Mahama to nominate personalities, including Dr. Kwabena Dufo or Nimoy Thompson, with economic background as preferable pair to impact positively on the economy.
Well, I think that a woman has been nominated as the running mate, as we said, to a major political party in the country. And to that extent, we must congratulate the lady who the presidential candidate has found worthy to partner with him. So that's my initial comment on that. A calm woman, a woman of poise and balance. She speaks good English, yes, but is it good enough to satisfy the ticket? So if you're looking for a ticket, President Mahama is a communicator. So you want maybe a person who is a lawmaker or a lawyer who would add value to the governance architecture. He himself has been a member of parliament before, so one could, to be fair, say that he's acquired that experience from parliament. When I first heard, I thought it was going to settle on either Dr. Dufo or Nimoy, because they are, economists and finance experts of considerable standing. So I thought to complement the ticket, either of them could have done.
Mr. Mensah-Bonsu says that if the former president really wanted a woman as his running mate, he should have settled on the likes of the former Minister of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, Hannah Tete, a former AG Marita Brew Apia Opong, or Betty Mould Idris, a former Attorney General.
The president, if he wanted a woman, and when they were mentioning some women, I honestly thought that we have some women of some demonstrable competence who have risen through this house to establish themselves firmly in the firmament. One such person could be Hannah Tete. She has been a member of parliament. She was a minister, a foreign affairs minister, and some other area. So he has learned the rules. A former member of parliament, I thought she could also have complemented the president's ticket. Or another person, the former Attorney General, Marita Opong, I mean, a solid person. I thought she was also coming up strongly. So if you wanted women, even the previous one, the first Attorney General, she had some skeletons. Betty Mould Idris, she had some skeletons relating to Woyumi. Other than that, she's also somebody. But you ask yourself, what value is this woman going to add to that ticket?
But minority spokesperson on gender and children, Ladi Ayi Ayamba, has condemned what she describes as unwarranted attacks on the newly selected NDC running mate, Professor Nana Opoku-Agyeman. She says unfortunate comments by the critics are insults to all women in the world and not the running mate alone. Speaking to Joynews, Ladi Ayamba said women are not second-class humans, adding they also deserve equal opportunities as men.
Always been up in the minds of most individuals, I should say, that women have no place in decision-making or leadership or what have you, that they should just be left at home to be in the kitchen and to manufacture babies. That is what women have always been made to look like. And that is completely wrong. Men and women are born equal. It's not an issue of physics. It's an issue of what is up there in your head or in your brain, and what you can do with that. And so if today Professor Nana Opoku-Agyeman has been given the opportunity, it's a right thing in the right direction. It is very, very okay. It's a furtherance to our democracy. If today people think that it's a woman and can make statements like, because the NDC do not have competent women, that is why they have gone for competent men. That is why they have gone for a woman. That is very, very sad. I think it's good that all other women should listen, analyze, and reconsider this statement. That is an insult to the integrity of every single woman in this world. Not only Ghanaians, not only politicians, every single woman. Because it goes to state that women are second-class humans. That is why those people have made this unfortunate statement.
The Pusiga MP also urged women in the country to vote massively for the NDC in the 2020 elections.
And so I will say that we need the support of every woman. In Ghana today, we are not less than 52%. With this 52%, my dear sisters, mothers, aunties, all women out there, let us come out in our numbers. Let us support Nana. Let us ensure that we work hard. Let us ensure that we crave the indulgence and support of men, so that we will all vote for her to ensure that the NDC wins, so that Prof will be there to support us.
A research conducted by the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana has revealed that about 90% of dams constructed under government's One Village, One Dam initiative in the Upper East region cannot be used for irrigation purposes. The research further reveals that there was poor consultation with other government agencies such as the district assemblies in the planning phase of the initiative, and as a result, the district assemblies could not effectively supervise the projects. Upper East Regional Correspondent Albert Story sat through a dissemination session for the researchers' findings and came through with this report.
The Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana, with funding from Oxfam, commissioned the research to examine the implementation of the One Village, One Dam initiative in the Upper East region. The study aimed to, among other things, establish the number of dams constructed within the region, examine the appropriateness of the dams in serving domestic and agricultural purposes, and determine the usefulness of the dams in addressing the water requirement of the beneficiary communities during the dry seasons. The research, which was led by Professor Joseph Yarrow of the Department of Geography at the University of Ghana, established that so far, 83 out of the 140 dams promised by the government have been completed. This represents 59%. Professor Joseph Yarrow gave some details of the findings of the research.
People were not really involved in one, site selection, into the kind of dam, 3, the kind of uses that it was going to eventually be for, and 4, the kind of safety concerns and environmental impacts it will have on them. These were things that were not considered. Normally, when we have projects like this, we do environmental and social assessments, and these were taken for granted and left out. And that subsequently has come to haunt us, as people have realized as dams have been abandoned and the little land that families had which were given out have become degraded lands that they cannot use. Now remember, Upper East is not like Northern region where you can take a piece of land and it doesn't affect the families. Every single piece of land matters here. So once you've taken someone's 4 hectares of land, a family's 4 hectares of land, they and their descendants become traumatized eventually. It will take a lot of effort to reclaim those dams, that is if you want to get them back to farmland status.
He said about 90% of the dams constructed under the One Village, One Dam initiative in the Upper East region cannot be used for irrigation purposes.
Some communities had a better geology for a much bigger dam, but because they are limited to only 250,000, such a dam could not be put up. So then we think that it will be much more useful in the future if we aggregated the SAMs and did dams in places where dams are possible and left out communities that did not have the best geology for dams. For many places, we could do bigger dams 4 times the size of these. Most of these dams basically can be classified as domestic use or livestock dams, really, in terms of usage, but not for farming. So irrigation really is out of the question for probably 90% of the dams. It's not possible for any irrigation.
The Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana's research also touched on the key issue of the amount of money allocated for the construction of each dam and whether the amount was enough to construct good quality dams. Andrew Alalbila is an engineer with the Ghana Irrigation Development Authority who were interviewed as key informants in the research.
Considering the amount that was involved in the construction of the One Village, One Dam, we were told it was between 230,000 to 250,000 Ghana cedis per dam site. Yes, for one to construct a very meaningful and a very dam that will serve the purposes of irrigation, that money will not be enough. Some of them have met our standards. Some have actually been overstretched. A dam like Zasibulga, that is in the Timpani district. We went there during the dry season and the irrigable area was all occupied with onion, fresh onion.
The Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana has also made some recommendations to the government based on the findings of their research. Abdul Rahman Mohammed is national president of the association.
When they were implementing it, we were made to understand that it was coming to serve the purpose of the drought. We will be able to farm throughout. But now, this is not what we are seeing. Even in the rainy season, there is no water. So when do we expect to get water now? So we are calling on government to revisit that project and make sure that they are well renovated and they are well structured, and then so that the farmers will use them, or else they can't use them.
It remains to be seen whether government will improve on the size and quality of dams constructed under the One Village, One Dam initiative. For Joynews, Albert Sori reporting from Bolgatanga.
We're still live on Joynews Prime on GoTV channel 144, on DSTV channel 421, on digital terrestrial TV because you're free to air. We're back shortly with the rest of business.
Welcome back to business. Cocoa Board has announced that it is shutting down its head office here in Accra from Friday, July 10. This was after some of its staff tested positive for the coronavirus. Cocoa Board says the move is to pave way for an emergency fumigation exercise across its offices. In a press statement signed by Joseph Boahin Edu, the CEO of the board, on Monday, he explained that it has become necessary due to the mass testing exercise being organized by the organization, which is currently ongoing and which has resulted in some of its staff members testing positive for the virus. The company is therefore urging clients to contact them through their digital platforms. So now you know that more and more businesses are shutting down their offices due to a spike in coronavirus cases in their organizations. This week alone, the bulk oil storage and transportation company BOST and Cocoa Board have shut down their physical spaces as a result of COVID-19 infections. In the midst of all this, these companies have resorted to virtual means of operations and are also encouraging clients to fall on their digital platforms for interactions and also transactions. But how feasible is this in a country where many are yet to embrace the digital migration agenda? Economist Dr. Lord Mensah is on Zoom for a conversation. Grateful for your time this evening, Dr. Lord Mensah.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you to our viewers.
So, like I said earlier, we now know that a lot of offices are closing their physical spaces. Has COVID-19 exposed us as a nation with regards to our long digital migration agenda?
Yes, it has, because if you look at Ghana, the structures that we have, I could tell you that we're not that much prepared for that new normal that COVID-19 comes with. And the new normal is that avoiding that physical interactions here and there. And if you look at our digital space, you ask yourself how many people will understand what is going on in the digital space. Fine, for education, tertiary education, we've been able to do our best in getting that, or maybe getting used to that digital, way of interacting with our students. But then I'm looking at Cocoa Board, for instance. If you look at their client base, chunk of them are these articulator owners and all those people. And I believe that these are people who will find it difficult to deal with that digital space that they're talking about. And provided those digital spaces exist, that is where the question is. So you could see that whilst we were on lockdown, a lot of activities stalled, and that should give you the signal that the economy was not prepared for that virtual interaction. So going forward, I think we should understand that COVID has come to stay, and therefore, if we are making investment, we should make room for this virtual investment so that we can deal with clients online. For me, the companies that you mentioned, BOST and Cocoa Board, it will be difficult to say all their clients should deal with them on virtual structure. I mean, I don't foresee that being a breakthrough anywhere.
Having said that, Doc, I have come across a number of people when even using facilities at the banks, for instance, the ATM machines, and then you realize that people come, they stand there, they don't even know how to use these ATM machines. I know there have been some moves being done by government and platforms that have been introduced to just migrate a lot of people into the digital space. But do you think that we've done enough with this regard?
Well, you could see for when it comes to transactions, payment and all those, mobile money is gaining grounds. And I can tell you the penetration power of mobile money is so high to the extent that every corner of this country, people can have access to mobile money. All that you have to do is just maybe do a maximum travel of about 3 miles. But then in the end, if you look at other mediums of payment, I can tell you that the adaptation, we're not there yet. And with the ATM that you gave as an example, how many ATMs do we have in terms of the number of people that we service across the country? And so it is quite problematic. And then if you look at possibly if you find yourself with one particular bank and then crossing bank to use their ATM, in case of a problem, sometimes it takes about 72 hours to be resolved. And if all these things exist, I don't think that giving the people encouragement to go and use ATMs and all those will be there. The confidence to use those machines will not be there. And then also, if you look at our education structure,
right,
from the upper age of about 40 years and above, you could clearly see that at that time, computers were not well integrated into, our education. So you get a lot of people who are a bit novice when it comes to usage of these facilities. So it is a big blow for the country. That is why it's a learning process for us. We should look at it going forward. And in terms of building up, we should make room for some of all these things.
We would certainly talk about the possible impact on the economy. But first of all, we've seen platforms like the Ghana Post, and we've also seen the ATMs, which I gave an example of. We also have the COVID tracker, which was launched recently. Do you think that education has been enough? Have we promoted these platforms, and have we told people or taught them how to use this platform enough?
These are all apps that are supposed to find themselves on the Android or the Apple platform. But then I can tell you that a chunk of the people don't even know how to use these type of, app phones. I know if you go to my village, for instance, you buy a phone for somebody which is a touch screen. The next time you go, he's change it to the, what we call it, the normal one.
The YAM one.
And they feel so comfortable with that one. And so I would say that, yes, it's not an app that, can penetrate so much looking at our education structure. But then in the end, maybe the target might not necessarily be those down there. We targeted people in the upper level, and possibly we can say that we've achieved something. But if you look at it, for it to be an investment that we've done to capture the entire nation, I don't think we are doing that much.
So finally, 30 seconds before we go, this lack of know-how, how much is it costing the state, financially?
Yeah, it does. I mean, if you look at our revenue streams, inflows, some of these basic services, that is what generates, that what we call what the country earns. If you look at our revenue generation, for instance, the way in which people move most of the time is what generates money for us. For instance, with this virtual platforms that have been introduced, you're going to see a lot of people working from home. And as a result of that, they will not buy fuel anymore. And if they don't buy fuel, all those VAT things that we enjoy, the government enjoys from, the VAT, purchasing of fuels becomes difficult. And so for me, it's going to have a serious impact on our revenue.
Okay.
But then it's something that we should have expected, because if you look at our economy, it normally thrives on how people move, basically.
All right, Dr. Lord Mens, I'm grateful for your time this evening. It's a conversation that we will certainly have to visit again. But let's do some commodity trading now. And crude oil is selling for $43.35 a barrel after making a $0.25 gain. Precious mineral gold went for $1,796.15 an ounce. Thanks so much for your time this evening on Business. I am Sandra S. and I'm happy to log on to myjoyonline.com/business for more business news, updates, and stay home, stay safe, and stay beautiful. And thanks so much for watching.
And it's time for the interactive segment. You've been following the conversation. CSOs are calling on the president to rescind his decision for the Auditor General, Daniel Domelevo, to go on 167 accumulated days leave. And they're saying that he must do something about it, or it will affect his electoral fortunes come December 7. We posted this on our Facebook page. It's generated a number of comments, 126 comments, 152 shares, and 379 likes. Let's see some of your messages coming in. Senior Richard says, but they said it in their communique that they are considering a legal battle. I think they should choose that and stop disturbing the government. And Innocent Kwijo says, the CSOs have at least shown how they love Ghana, saving Ghana from this corrupt that's a bit too harsh. Kufo Apienin says, is this the most important thing in Ghana now? Let's be serious a bit. You never see these groups pushing in support for any good thing in Ghana. Only, oh, come on. And Festus Delali says it should be objective and help the man to respect others. Rebecca says he won't listen to anything from any CSO since he's more competent and more knowledgeable than any Ghanaian. Nana is simply not comfortable with him at all. Eugene Ban says 135 CSOs, I'm sure that's what you want to say, for a country like Ghana. What has been their input in policy direction apart from Occupy Ghana? And Abubakar says, our governance system is now based on who have stolen less during his tenure in executing projects, but not who have delivered well. The day of positions are occupied on merit, not by appointment by the president of the day. We shall enjoy our emancipation. And Kojo Yabua says the country is not just fighting corona, we're fighting a very corrupt president ever in the country of Ghana. And David Lechi says that's a good way to go. Why corruption is subject to our politician. And this afternoon, the information minister has been praising the multimedia group and Gariel Smith for making his status known to the public and also using it to educate people to realize that COVID is real. Let's check out the comments coming from that video. And okay.
And then he answered that the policy has not changed. The policy of naming persons without their consent has not changed. When somebody tests positive, we encourage that person to voluntarily put it out. If that person instructs us or give us permission to do, like I've done this morning, we will do. For example, I know there are houses where there are positive cases, where there are a number of positive cases. Apart from the people in media houses that have voluntarily come forward to say so, and let me use an example. He's my friend. I know he won't mind. Gary Al Smith of Multimedia. Multimedia, for example, puts out a statement to say that there are a number of persons who are there, but only Gary Al Smith comes out to say that he is positive and uses it as a platform to help with public education. And we applaud that. We encourage that. And we continue to encourage all other persons who turn positive, put it out there and to use it. But it will be unfair to ask me to be here to speculate or to name other persons.
And always remember, COVID is real. That's how we wrap up the bulletin. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Enjoy the rest of our programs.